The measurement required to make a simple short knicker is our waist measurement, the hips, the knicker length, and the measurement around our lap or the thigh. And the first thing is to mark out 1.5 inches at the top of our fabric, having folded the fabric using our hips measurement plus 3 or 4 inches. Make sure you fold your fabric using the hips measurement plus 3 or 4 inches like so. Then you mark out 1.5 inches from the top of your folded fabric and rule out your line like so. The 1.5 inches is meant for our elastic, is for the elastic casing because the short knicker has an elastic waist. Now, after marking the 1.5 inches, the next thing is to mark crotch depth, our crotch depth from the waistline. And to get our crotch depth, the measurement is hips divided by 4 plus 1 inch. Hips divided by 4 plus 1 inch. And for me, my hips measurement is 48 inches. Divided by 4 gives me 12 plus 1, that's 13. And that makes my crotch depth. The next measurement I'm marking is my knicker length, which is 16 inches. My knicker length is 16 inches. And that's what I am ruling here, like so. Now, after marking out all my vertical measurement, the next thing is to mark out my horizontal measurement. And to get my waist measurement, I'm going to be using my hips measurement because I'm going to be putting elastic at the waist. And my hips measurement, like I said before, is the 48 divided by 4, which gives me 12. I now add 0.5 inches, making 12.5 inches that I mark on the waistline. And I also transfer the same 12.5 inches to the crotch line. Then I now mark my lap measurement in front of the crotch line. I mark my lap measurement in front of the crotch line, and at the knicker length, I mark the lap measurement minus 0.5 inches. That's what I mark there. Now I am marking my folding allowance at the hem of the knicker, which is 1 inch. Remember to add 1 inch folding allowance. Now I'm going to rule my line from my waist to the crotch depth, which is the hips measurement. A straight line from my waist to the crotch depth. Now I mark 2 inches from that crotch depth upward, from where I now draw a curve to the lap, to the lap point of the lap measurement, to draw my crotch curve. Draw the curve for the crotch. Now I'm joining the crotch point to the knicker length. Remember that I minus 0.5 inches from my lap measurement and I mark it on my knicker length like so. And that is what I mark out and join the line. I also extended the line above the waistline to the elastic casing. And that's our the front of the knicker. That's all the measurements for the front of the knicker. Remember I said for the at the knicker, at the hem of the knicker, you are going to mark your lap measurement minus 0.5 inches. That's what I marked there and join it to the lap, the point of the lap at the crotch depth. Now I cut out the front of the knicker. Now after folding another piece of fabric, I now place the front of the knicker on top of it like so. Make sure you have enough fabric because we are going to extend all our measurements by 2 inches like I'm doing. You extend 2 inches in front of the front of the knicker, and at the crotch area you mark out 2.5 inches, like so. You make it 2.5 inches, then you continue with 2 inches or 1.5 inch at the hem of the knicker. Depend on your measurement, and it depend on the bum of the customer, how big it is. Now the next thing is to join all my lines. You extend out the crotch line to that 2.5 inches, and also join the crotch line to the hem of the knicker with those that 2 inches mark that you extended out. And also add from the waist to the crotch depth, we also join the line for the 2 inches extensions to make the back of the knicker, like so. Now I need to extend the hem of the knicker to meet for the back of the knicker. Now the next thing is to draw the waistline. I have to extend my waistline for the front of the knicker to meet the 2 inches extension at the back of the knicker. And I also draw the line at the waistline for the front of the knicker. I draw it, copied it onto the back of the knicker, like so. Now from the waistline at the back of the knicker, at the front of the waistline, I have to measure 1 inches upward. You can see the waistline that I draw from the front of the knicker to the back of the knicker pattern. Now from that place I have to go up by 1 inch at the front of the knicker in order to draw a slant line for the waist, because our waist is not straight. And from that 1 inch I will draw a slant line to the back of the knicker, like so. You can see from the 1 inch at the front, I now draw a slant line to join the back of the knicker, which makes the same measurement for the front of the knicker at the back of the knicker at that back point. Now the next thing is to draw my curve for the back of the knicker. I draw the curve for the crotch depth in the same way I draw the one for the front of the knicker. I now trace out my all the other lines onto the back of the knicker, and the next thing is to cut out my pattern for the back of the knicker. Now I now separated the fabrics for the front of the knicker and also the back of the knicker. I separated them into 2 pieces each. Now these are the two for the front and for the back. Now the next thing is to open up the two pieces for the front of the knicker, and this is what we have after opening it up. Now we have to put it together, right side facing each other. Put it together again, right side facing each other, and go and stitch it down from the waist to the crotch depth. And also for the back of the knicker, we also stitch it down from the waist to the crotch depth. Now after stitching down the waist to the crotch depth, this is what we have. This is what I have after stitching it, the two of them down, the front and the back. This is what we have. Now the next thing is to lay down the back of the knicker right side facing up. Then we'll take the front of the knicker and lay it right side facing the back, like so. Lay it down right side facing each other, like so. Then we are going to take the crotch, the side of the crotch underneath the knicker. We match them together, match together the seam line at the crotch depth, and stitch them down. Stitch them down like so. After stitching it down, this is how it's going to look like. This is what we have. Now the next thing is to stitch the two sides of the knicker. We take it to the sewing machine and stitch it down, after which I will now stitch down the hem of the knicker by turning it twice. I will turn it twice and stitch it round on the two lap. Now having done that, having stitched down the two sides of the knicker and also hem the bottom of the knicker, the next thing is to work on the waistline. And the first thing we are going to do is to turn the hem of the waistline once and stitch it down. Remember, let we left an allowance of 1.5 inches for the elastic. So that 0.5 inches, we turn it once and stitch it down. After that, then you take your elastic and fold it together, and in this manner, make sure that the elastic that you have, you hold it to one side of the front of the knicker like so. Then you pull it to the entire length of the front waist to see how stretchy is going to, if it's going to cover the front. You can now add 2 inches to the elastic for joining allowance. Then you now take the elastic to your sewing machine and join it together, join the two edge together, after which we now mark the elastic on 4 points by putting it together and marking it to four equal lengths like so. Just copy what I'm doing, make your mark on the elastic. Now after making your mark, we are now going to pin down the elastic with our office pin. For every point that you mark on the elastic, you pin it down onto a joint part of the knicker. All the part of the knicker that is joined together, you are going to pin them to the mark that you made on the elastic. This is so that the elastic can be evenly distributed onto the knicker, so that it can stretch evenly when you are wearing it. Place all the lines onto all the joint part of the knicker and pin them down with your office pin. Now we are going to stitch down the elastic. You stitch it at the top onto the knicker, stitch it at the very top of the elastic onto that part of the knicker that we hem down the other time. You will stitch it at the top, and while stitching, make sure that you are stretching it, you are pulling it. You pull the elastic while you are sewing it down and stitch it at the top. This is what we have after I stitch it down only at the top. You can see how it look like. I stitch it down at the top. After that, you now turn it. You now turn your elastic once. You turn it once and stitch it down. Also stretching it while you are stitching. You'll be stretching it like so and also stitch it down with your sewing machine. Turn it once and stitch it down. This is what we have after I stitch down the elastic. After I turn it and stitch it again, this is what it looks like. Now the next thing is to stitch down the middle of that elastic. You know we already stitched it down twice now. The next thing is to stitch it down at the middle. Now this is what we have after I finished stitching it down. This is the end of the project. You can see how neat and beautiful our short knicker turns out. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Please leave a like and leave any comment. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section. You can ask anything that you do not understand about the project. God bless you.